What's happening, Hardscapers? This is episode 185 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And on today's episode, we have our second part of our 2022 year-end wrap-up. We do mashups. I am a hardscaper mashup interviews where we take all of our business owner interviews and mash them all up based on the questions that we ask them. But with these wrap-ups, I'm just picking a couple topics from previous consultant guests, other guests that we have on the show besides hardscape business owners, and pick apart a few points that have really resonated with me throughout this past year and things that I'm going to think about more so going into 2023. So I picked apart that. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the software that we have built with How to Hardscape. It is available with How to Hardscape members on the members only platform. That's members.howtohardscape.com. And this is the How to Hardscape headquarters. And this is going to house a all-encompassing, for lack of a better term, headquarters for your business. It is going to include out of the box in January everything that the budget and estimate spreadsheet that we have available until the end of this year. Everything that's included in that, which includes budgeting, estimating, automated forms for those estimates, job costing, and so on. And then we're going to continue to expand that out in Q1 and Q2 of 2023 to include timesheets, time tracking, an app to go along with it. And it's available to members on members.howtohardscape.com there, where we also have training courses. If you're looking to get into hardscaping, it's got courses on interlocking concrete pavement, retaining walls, and so on, as well as more courses being prepared for the new year. And eventually what I want this to become is a headquarters for your employees to go in, to create some sort of structure in your business, to create systems, and to allow your employees to level up as well as yourself in your own business. And we'll be touching on what I mean about that later and throughout this episode, based on what I've taken away from these points that these interviews have really taught me and what I'm trying to do in my business. So if you are interested in that, we're going to have an offer. I'll tell you about that at the end of this episode, available until January 1st. We're going to continuously be investing into this platform. That includes course content, that includes more features to the headquarters software, and so on. So that price will continuously creep up in pricing per month. So if you sign up, you are grandfathered into any features and any other rollouts that we have. You will continuously pay that per month price there for that. So if you are thinking about it, you want more information about it, hit me up at How to Hardscape on Instagram, shoot me an email, contact@howtohardscape.com, or lots of information is available at members.howtohardscape.com, the registration page there. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So we had an episode with Nathan Helder of Gelderman Landscapes, and back in August 22nd, titled Common Issues Holding Business Owners Back with Nathan Helder. And this was actually one of our more popular episodes this year. This is an interesting one because I myself, working at a supplier for many years, in behind our yard was a rental spot for Gelderman Landscape, and they always had these nice red trucks with these beautiful outfits rolling out first thing and then coming back at the end of the day. And it's interesting to kind of come full circle and be able to interview Nathan for this and talk to him and to connect with him for this interview, and lots of great topics that he brings up. So I'm breaking this down by topic. He gave us 5 points. I'm going to take 4 of them and kind of roll with it. If you want to go back, listen to that episode because it's definitely worth it. The first point that we're going to get into is delegation, because this is something that I continue to struggle with in my business. I don't know what it is for me as a business owner, as a contractor, to try to delegate more and to allow people to take on more tasks within my business and to take hands off, see mistakes get done, and move forward. It's always been difficult for me, and to be able to, have a question from an employee and give them an answer right away. Whereas it may be better to ask them what they think, for example, they should do next, instead of providing an answer right away. And that's kind of incorporates a whole concept of teaching and learning as a leader and as a business owner. Things like this that I've been reading more and more on, and trying to learn more and more on how to create that delegation as a business owner, as a contractor inside of me, and to create that sort of teacher's mentality. But this is what Nathan has to say about delegation.
But owners are fearful that their staff might make mistakes, and because of that, they don't empower them to do anything. They take all the decision making away from them. They put it on themselves, and then they wonder why their staff don't stay. So then I ask the question, would you work for yourself? And they're just like, oh, I don't know. Well, then why do you expect anybody else to work for you? Like, it's that simple. You either build people up or you break them down, one of the two. Right? I'll train a person. I hire the right people. Although when the wrong people get hired, we have to let them go quickly. But it's the lack of trust that holds companies back and slows everything down. When you have a high level of trust, things move quick and everybody's having fun.
And continuing off of that, he also then talks about seeing employees as assets rather than liabilities. And that's definitely something that I have taken for granted in the past, and just looking at an asset as something that you would invest in, you would train, and you would build up this culture in your business and the value that is seen within that. I'm going to kind of interject and take over this to talk about the How to Hardscape members only platform, which includes that How to Hardscape headquarters software. With that, what I'm trying to do is to create a framework for training in my business, which could then be implemented in your business as well with all this. This is where these courses I have created that allow an employee, before they even show up to your job site on that first day, you've hired them and you want to initially invest in them right away, so they're not showing up to your job site and being confused and not knowing what the tools are on the job and not knowing what's trying to get accomplished, to sit them down and allow them to soak up this material. They can go through a course, they can get to the end, there's a test or a quiz at the end of the course, and when they complete that, they can get a certificate of achievement. They can show you that, and in doing so, we can help to elevate them and to set them up for success in the business immediately on the first step. And I think that's really important. I know what it was like starting a fresh start as an employee and being thrown in the deep end, but not only on that first day, but on an ongoing basis. I want to create an automated place, the headquarters, where an employee is hired and they're immediately sent these learning resources, and we're immediately investing in them the time to take on these learning resources for before that first day starts for them, as well as moving forward in the future, and to create a framework within our business that if you complete these steps, if you complete these courses, we know that you have the theory, the skills that we can then help you and allow you to apply those in the field, and make sure that you've also got the practical knowledge to do so, and then help you level up in our business to take on more roles and responsibilities, to create that hierarchy and to automate that. And that's where I want this software to play a role in not only my business, but to help any of you out there as well to create that. So that's where the members only platform plays a role right now in that training, and we'll continue to build that out with more and more training and safety tutorials and so on. But also the How to Hardscape headquarters is where you would then create a employee account or an employee profile, where you would have their email on file, and as soon as they become an employee, they get a welcome email with a bunch of steps that they can take in order to accomplish before that first day starts, and have that list of training and set them up for success in the business. But with that being said, here's Nathan on seeing our employees as assets rather than liabilities.
Now more than ever in the last 2-3 years, if you don't look at your asset or your staff as an asset that appreciates in value, or think that, culture is, get to work, I pay you, well, that should be enough. Is it? Probably not. So today's world, it's really about, like, you must invest in culture. You must see your staff as assets, not liabilities. They don't depreciate over time. They appreciate. They go up in value, you hope, because the more experience they have, the more knowledge of the business. It means they'll produce more revenue from those employees. But then we're so scared to invest in training. Take a day out and bring a food truck in, have some fun, give some bonuses if you have a bonus plan in place, right? Just share your time. Show your love by spending time with them. That culture is critical. But it all stems back into how does the owner think about staff in general? So I hear, you go to different events and you hear owners complain about their staff, or they say, oh man, it cost me this, or bitching about that. It's like, okay, with that attitude, the shit falls downhill. I'm sorry, but that attitude can go all the way down, and guess what they hear? Right. Well, I used to do this. Well, so what? Like, I know you're the owner, you're driven differently.
Another common issue that Nathan talks about, of course, something that comes up time and time again, and there's a reason why it comes up time and time again, and that's knowing your numbers and just being in control of your numbers, knowing what your numbers are telling you. He talks a little bit about that. That's something that I've, from the very beginning of How to Hardscape have talked about, and we created that budget and estimate spreadsheet that includes job costing and lots of different things within it that is going to become discontinued by the end of the year to make room for the How to Hardscape headquarters. So once again, if you're in need of this software in your business, this is going to, out of the box, starting in sometime in January. It's going to include budgeting, estimating, job costing, automated forms, and a few other neat features such as emailing a proposal automatically to a client and allowing them to actually digitally send it back to you. So that's going to be continuously improved on. It's essentially a minimum viable product to get to you that will encompass everything that the budget and estimate spreadsheet does in a more efficient manner. And then we'll continue to build that out from there. So the next step in Q1 would be timesheets and time tracking. That's already in process of being built. And then in Q2, we'll create an app for that as well. So this will continuously be built out and paired with the members only platform to continue this creation of this program. So with that being said, here's Nathan on knowing your numbers.
Yeah, so I guess the third one or fourth one here would be a weak understanding of their numbers. And most contractors have this entrepreneurial seizure, as one person has said it before. It's not my thing, but it's an entrepreneurial seizure where they've been a technician for somebody else and they decide that, they need to be self-employed, but they have the foggiest clue how to use QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop. And they really don't have, they understand that, how to get their pricing is probably, they use Swag. I don't know if you ever heard of Swag before?
No.
You know what Swag is? Scientific Wild Ass Guess.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's a combination of Swag and competitive pricing. So they do a call and say, what's your square foot price on your XYZ? And they say, oh, it's $25. Okay, well, that's a big company. I can't really charge $25. I'll try for $23. And then they start pricing and then carry on. But there's no understanding of their own numbers.
And then finally, Nathan wraps this up talking about systems in his business and creating systems. This is something that I have not done in my business. And even though you can say that even if you think you don't have a system, you definitely do have a system. It's just not well organized. It's not well documented. This is something that I'm going to continuously improve on in my business, and something that I will also be bringing to the How to Hardscape headquarters software. Those systems for certain projects that you estimate and certain things in your business, so employees can easily look up a system or a standard operating procedure for something that may come up in the business, that they can easily access that and know what to do for that. But so here is Nathan talking about systems.
Again, it's under the concept of delegating, right? So here at the Geldman Company, any new, especially in the administration side of things, is that if somebody says, "Oh, they're giving us notice," the last 2 weeks is their hardest 2 weeks of their life because now they have to document every single thing, every process has to be documented. So the new person can just jump in. So it's a constant thing, process improvement. We document it, giving it to the staff and say, "Hey, run it," and then make it better, right? Always adding stuff to it. And so if you want to grow your business and you want to have somebody do your job, then how are you going to teach the person? You got to write it down. You got to create the McDonald's thing, right? So you think of any larger, if you compare yourself to other organizations, other industries, it's all about process, right? Think of all the restaurant businesses. Like, how does somebody start at McDonald's today and within 2 years they're running the place? And they're all systems, all process. So why can't we do this for landscaping?
Now our next guest is Jackie Hart. We had her back on in a episode just before Nathan titled Employee Structure and Culture. And this was an excellent one because it's something that hadn't been touched on in our podcast quite specifically as she broke it down. A very fascinating interview, so definitely check this one out as well, right next to Nathan's interview if you go back and take a look at that. And this has to do with, this first clip at least, has to do with the next generation coming up and their need for a roadmap, for hope that they are coming into our industry or into our business and knowing what's next for them. And that kind of brings back into play training for them to be able to show them the next steps in their journey through your business. What gets them, what is it that gets them to that next level, to that next step in your business? And what are their roles, defined roles and responsibilities for their current step, for their next step? How do they get there? How do they get to where they want to be? And how can you help them in doing so? So this was an excellent interview and points touched on by Jackie with this. So I'll let her take it away here.
They have their eyes on the prize. They see the foreman driving this fancy truck with the shiny rims, or the supervisor and the guy running the skid steer, and they're on a shovel and they're like, "No, I want that." But they don't understand the journey to get there. And they're impatient. They're super impatient. Again, because we're on a podcast, but I'm holding my phone up. They don't have to be patient because they have whatever information they want at their fingertips at any moment. So we have to teach them patience. And we also have to show them that there's hope and opportunity. And as employers, if we don't make sure that everyone on our team shows up every day hopeful, just hope, come to work hopeful that you're going to learn something new, that you're going to rock it out of the park, that you're going to build something awesome, that you're going to learn a new skill, you're going to learn to run a new piece of equipment or use a new tool or hit it out of the park some way, get a pat on the back, be appreciated, but have some joking around at lunch, whatever. Hopeful that something is going to go well for them every day. And then be able to leave at the end of the day proud. I learned this. I helped Buddy do this. I helped so-and-so do that. I learned how to do this. The boss told me I did a great job at this. Everyone needs, when you peel back the layers and the bravado and the macho and the ego and whatever, peel all that back and look in the mirror, every single one of you listening to this, and think about, what if every day I came to work and I wasn't hopeful? Like I had no hope. It was a dead-end job. What if I thought this was a dead-end job working for you, Mike? How long am I going to stay? The moment some little carrot gets dangled in front of me or some little notification comes to my phone because I've been Google searching different jobs and all of a sudden it's, here they all are. What do you think I'm going to do?
So all those points really made me think, and there's even more in the interview that we talk with her about, but just made me think of the need for creating a roadmap and creating that sense of hope in sticking with our business when we hire an employee and we show them a roadmap of what their future could look like if they follow certain steps or if they apply themselves. And that's where a lot of my thinking is playing into this platform that we're creating with the members only platform, as well as with the How to Hardscape headquarters. all of that is going to be intertwined and playing a role in creating this roadmap. And we also then get into that culture shift, that change in culture in your business. If you are creating, no matter what, you have a culture in your business. And when you decide to put intent into that culture creation, such as investing into your employees and training and what that hierarchy looks like in your business. How do you manage that culture shift in your business in creating that hierarchy or whatever that might look like? Whether it is in hierarchy in your business or what those levels look like for a new employee and leveling them up, and especially with those more seasoned employees in your business. So she touches on what that culture shift may look like in your business. How do you change that culture if you've already established a culture that's like a baseline for the company, and then you want to transition to make this company more pleasing to this younger generation coming into the workforce? How do you communicate that essentially? And how do you make that switch?
Great question. I'm really glad you asked that. Great question. And I'm sorry I skipped over that as a detail. I could have probably included that in there. It's not just what to do, but how do you do it? And I think the best way to do it is to be super honest, to sit down the ones who've been with you for the longest or your current employees and say, look, we got to do something different here because I don't want to burn you guys out. And I'm tired of not being able to find enough people, not being able to find the right people, not being able to keep the people we want to keep. We got to do something different. And I came across this idea. And the idea is, instead of having seniority over top of someone else, what if you had 3 or 4 people on your crew, and there's actually someone there who actually really likes doing the paperwork, but they're not a foreman, so they're not given the paperwork. You got to do the paperwork, but you hate doing the paperwork. You hate tracking, the slips for the stuff that you bought at the over the weigh scale and the gas chits and the receipts for this, that, and the other, and getting them into the office. What if you had somebody in the crew who's like, oh yeah, like maybe they're detail oriented and they really like doing that kind of stuff? What if you could share, if everyone knew what every position was responsible for, and you can start a little bit of bartering going on, right? And what if you were able to say, okay, there's some things that we all are responsible to do during a day and actually hate doing and lean away from. What if we could share some of those tasks? And what if we could actually create a communication, a way of communicating with one another so that there's no condescending, there's no bullying, there's no, okay, well, he's the new guy, so he's got to do that stuff on the wheelbarrow down the hill and back up again, what if it's, no, you do that for half hour, then I'll take the next half hour, and so takes the next half hour, and we work together more as a team. So there's no sense of entitlement. When you get rid of that sense of entitlement, if you've got people in your midst who abuse the power, the authoritative hierarchical power that they have, and by the way, you pronounce the word just fine. But if you have people who abuse that power, like right now I'm working on a contract in a construction company that's 150 employees, and we're restructuring that and fixing the culture, and I'm in there for 3 years. And I've been in there for a year so far. And let me tell you, this company, knowledge hoarding is so rampant in this company. They've got some employees who've been there 35, 40, 45 years, and they know it all. And they aren't teaching anybody because it threatens their job security. And that is so toxic and so dysfunctional, we're actually starting to fire some of them to get the message across that this is not okay. Knowledge hoarding and using knowledge as power over other people is not okay. And I can tell you, millennials and Gen Z won't accept it, right? So how do you do it? You start with a conversation to say, look, the end game here, whatever your end game is, whatever it is you want to improve, but I'm going to assume that you want to improve employee retention. Okay, so let's say that's the end game. If the end game is retaining the people that you do bring in and like and have the skills and are willing and want to learn knowledge, like they want to gain more knowledge and experience. If that's the end game, is to keep them, to make the company more sticky, then you can't keep doing what you've always done, or you're always going to get the result that you've always got. Right? Albert Einstein, great quote. You cannot solve a problem using the same thinking that created it. And what you are all faced with in this industry, in this decade, is a clash and an intersection of that old way of thinking and this newer attitude towards work. I will go where the work is meaningful, where I am valued, where I'm appreciated, and where there's opportunity for me to learn and grow. Period. As opposed to, I'm going to go and work for a company because they have a pension plan. If I stay there for 15 years or 20 years or 25 years, because that's what my dad did, that doesn't exist anymore, right? People aren't looking for that. But when you run a company that's structured with entry level and then lead hand and then foreman and then supervisor and then operations manager and then the owner, and they're all layered one on top of the other, and the only way you can get a raise is to move up or still be breathing next spring when you come back to work after a winter layoff or a winter slow period, and you get cost of living. But then they're not going to stay. Like, the name of the game isn't tenure anymore. The name of the game isn't, I'm a more valued employee because I've been here the longest. That's what I'm dealing with this construction company, is people strutting around with their chest sticking out because they've been there for 35 years. Well, guess what, sweetheart? You're fired. Like, you're bringing no value, and you're condescending and interfering with the opportunity for us to grow the next generation. So you're out.
And then we had Mike Andes. That was an episode back in May 16th, Pay for Performance with Mike Andes. And Mike is very smart. He's in the lawn care industry, owns a franchise model with lots of locations, and he's got this software. He's got this system called Pay for Performance. And it's best if he explains it here and how it could be applied to a hardscape company. But with that being said, I've been thinking about how I can create some sort of incentive program for employees in the future. And this can be also applied to the headquarters software in the future, as I take a look at how we can build out certain features and creating a more custom approach to an incentive program. So not having a blanket incentive program, but allowing users or those that are responsible in your business for the financials to be able to create a custom incentive program within the software to suit your business. But here's Mike Andes talking about Pay for Performance.
Yeah, so first of all, pay for performance is, or what we call P4P, is basically the employee gets a percentage of the labor revenue that they earn for the business, right? And a lot of times in hardscaping, people are like, well, I can't do that because I have big projects that are hundreds of hours long. I take weeks on end. And it's absolutely possible. We have a lot of landscapers that do it and use P4P. The bottom line is, I don't ever want to tie P4P or pay any sort of pay compensation to the percentage of profit on that job, because then I'm compensating someone based on something they don't have control over. They don't have control over the pricing of the materials. They don't have control over whether or not we need to have deliveries or not, or whether or not something was damaged and there was more cost to the job. They are only going to care about, and the only thing they can really dictate is the labor on the job. They cannot dictate material markup, or if I charge for the estimate, or if I charge dumping fees. They simply are going to be affecting the labor. So I don't want to tie it to like a percentage of on a job site, because that's also can be, do we include insurance and we include overhead and fuel? Like, that starts becoming a very gray area. I want to be very black and white. And that is, look, there's $5,000 worth of labor on this job site. You're going to get 1/3 of that at the end of the job. It doesn't matter if it takes you 50 hours, 100 hours, or 10 hours. Like, you're getting that same amount of money regardless. And it's up to you to figure out how to be most efficient getting that project done. And so you definitely can work with big jobs. You also run into having the problem with, different levels of skill. And so what we have is what we call a project manager that is going to get a $1 per budgeted hour bonus on a project. So if there's 200 budget hours on a big project, you got 4 or 5 guys working on it. You're going to delineate 1 or 2 of those guys as project managers. They're typically going to be the ones with the most skill, the ones operating the equipment, the ones doing the walkthrough with the customer, the one that kind of figures out where the materials are going and where the equipment's being dropped off. They're going to be the project managers, and we're at our company, we give them $1.50 per budget hour. So that's means $300 of project management bonus on that job at the end, to which I can give to the more highly skilled individuals. Because otherwise, all the other labor revenue is going to be split evenly throughout the crew.
And with all that being said, that is our 2022 year-end wrap-up. A few different topics, all more so relating around employees, culture, from this episode that has really got me thinking. And these really planted the seeds to what we're trying to create with the How to Hardscape headquarters. Not only a software to help you get in control of your numbers, but to also build a culture, to build a roadmap and whatnot for your employees, for your new hires, for people already existing in your business, and to connect the headquarters software to the members only platform to create that training and culture within your business. So if any of this interests you, you can always sign up members.howtohardscape.com, and the software will be available to members starting in January sometime. The date is not yet released for that. And that headquarters software is going to continuously be improved on with features. So like I said, budget and estimate spreadsheet becomes discontinued end of the year 2022 to make room for the How to Hardscape headquarters software, which will be launched in January 2023 with the same features of the budget and estimate spreadsheet, but with a more streamlined workflow with a more efficient interface, setting a foundation to allow it to be improved upon with features that we could not implement into a spreadsheet. So How to Hardscape headquarters software available for members only. Sign up members.howtohardscape.com. And like I said, if any of this interests you, reach out to me at How to Hardscape on Instagram. Message me there, contact@howtohardscape.com if you want to reach out by email. And I will send you over an offer that will expire January 1st if you're looking to get in on this. Otherwise, it's always a great time to sign up whenever you are ready to, or ask me any questions. Sign up whenever you're ready to, because that price will continuously go up as more content is released, as more features are built into the software, and you will always pay monthly or yearly, whatever you use to sign up. The price that you signed up with, that price won't increase for you, but for new registrants, it will continue to increase based on the improvement of features and rollout of more course content for that. Once again, How to Hardscape on Instagram, shoot me a message and we will take that from there. And we look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.